Hey comic book fans, your pal David here to give you guys your comic fix. Now this is part 2 in this week of reviews. In my first video, I did some reviews of Harvest, Mind the Gap, Daredevil, Hawkeye, and finally, World's Finest. If any of those books entice you, I will have a link to those reviews below. Now to kick this video off, I'm going to be doing my first review on Earth 2. As you can see on this cover, you see Hawkgirl in there, and from every single cover we've had, who's ever on the cover, they're the main character of that particular issue. Well, not in this issue. In this issue, we finally get to see all the different characters that were introduced throughout the last 4 issues come together to face off against Grundy. Now, Grundy, he is the champion of the Gray. The Gray is kind of like in the DC Earth Prime, the Rot. So he's destroying Washington DC, and all around him everything's starting to decay. So it's up to these heroes to come together for the very first time to face off against this villain. And when you see the villain get just basically stomped on in the very last panel, it was very anticlimactic. Now you get the introduction of the Atom in this book, but the thing is, who is the Atom really working for? Is he going to be with these superheroes, or is he going to be a tool for the government? Now that's the big question here. Personally, I think he's going to be a tool for the government, and later on throughout the issues, he'll be coming back onto the hero side of things. Now, with the story being really good, the art in here is just so beautiful to look at. Nicola Scott, she's doing such a fantastic job at conveying what James Robinson wants to tell. And that these two team are just fantastic and they work so well together. I would go even so far to say that this is a better team than what we get in Justice League book with Geoff Johns and J.L.I. And that's a pretty big thing to say, because those two guys, Geoff Johns and J.L.I, are the two biggest guys in all of DC. But this book is fantastic. Every single issue that this came out has been golden. I'm going to give Earth 2, issue number 4, a 4.5 out of 5. A really good book. Next up, Justice League International, issue number 12. And here's the last issue of the whole Justice League International book. Except for the annual that's coming out next month. No, actually, no, it's not the last issue, because they have the 0 issue coming out next month. And then they're having the annual after that. So, you got 2 more issues of Justice League International. But in here's a very simple story. It's the Justice League members having a funeral for Rocket Red. And when you're having this funeral, a villain comes in and ruins things. Now, it's a very simple story, but it was told very well, and you really felt the sorrow that was coming through with these characters losing their friend. And these characters have really grown on me, and I'm sad to see that this book has been going away. But they have said that Justice League International book may be going away, but these characters are not. And we have actually been seeing that. These characters have been spotted in Batwing, and in Stormwatch, which I'll be reviewing in my next video. But it's just a really good book. But if you're wanting to start on this book series, this is not a good way to start out the series. I would recommend anybody who wants to start out this series go back to issue around 6 or 7. That's when the whole thing started to come together, and it was telling a really good story. So I'm going to give Justice League International issue number 12 a 3.5 out of 5. Fun story, but nothing really special. Next up, Batman Detective Comics issue number 11. It's the final issue of the Mr. Toxic storyline, and I'm so glad it's done. I mean, I don't really like the science fiction part of the Batman. It feels very campy. And it did not interest me whatsoever. The art in here is done by Tony Daniels, and he does a really good job on art, but I just don't think he can tell a good story all the time. He may have a couple issues where it seems really good, but then he'll have 3 issues that will be just mediocre to terrible. And right now he's on the terrible, and he's going to be leaving this book after the 0 issue of next month. And I'm really excited to see who's coming on. It's the guy who's going to be doing the book Chew. I don't know his name, but I've heard some really good stuff about him, and I'm really interested to see where he will take Batman. And hopefully get this series up to a level that is tolerable. Right now it's not. So, with that said, I have to give Batman Detective Comics a 2 out of 5. The only thing that saved it was the art, but the story was just crap. Next up, Action Comics issue number 12. In here, we get to meet this new villain. Well, we met this new villain in the last issue. And when he comes in, basically he goes and tries to steal Lois's niece. And when he's trying to steal Lois's niece, Lois tries to protect the little girl, and he basically throws Lois into traffic, and Lois gets hit by a car. Then Superman gets on the scene. And that's where this book hits off. We find out that this mysterious character could get into Superman's mind and make him see whatever he wants him to see. Superman finally breaks out, and there's an all-out battle. And throughout the battle, you actually get to see some glimpses into this mysterious villain's past. And it was really cool to see this. To see this guy who was just like Superman or Clark Kent, not belonging in this world, but just went down a different path. And I'm really interested to see where Grant Morrison is going to be taking the storyline with Lois's niece, because you find out that there's something special about her. And in here, the art I just enjoyed so much. There's a point in there where you see Superman come out of the rubble, and all you see is his face, and just his eyes are glowing red, and it's really something that just catches your eye, and you know that Superman's pissed off. So that was just a really cool point. And I didn't mind the story whatsoever, and it gave some questions that I really want answered. Now, I know Grant Morrison is going to be leading the series after the 16th issue, so I'm interested to see where he will take this series. This issue in particular was just really good, where all the other couple ones have been not so good. I'm going to give Action Comics issue number 12 a surprising 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed it. Finally, we have Batwing, issue number 12. Batwing is called on Nightwing and the Justice League International guys to help him invade a fictional place in Africa called, Tendai. I hope I said that right. The reason why they are invading this country is because the Penguin has sold this president of this little country some nukes, and so Batwing has to go and stop it. And throughout, you're getting some story elements that are just very comic booky, but they're done so well, and you're just enjoying all these action sequences going on. And I'm enjoying to seeing that there actually is going to be a place for the Justice League International characters to go after the book is canceled. And the funny thing is, though, is that this book, a Batwing, doesn't feel like a Batwing book, but it feels like a Batman Inc. book. Because in the last 3 or 4 issues, every single time Batwing is with another one of the, as he call it, the Batman Inc. family. So this book feels more like a Batman Inc. book than the Batman Inc. book that Grant Morrison's doing. So it's just a fun book to be had, a fun story with so much action, but heart to it. And the ending to it is really well done, and it makes you want more. So with that, I'm going to give Batman issue number 11 4 out of 5. Just a really fun book, and I cannot wait to see where Judd Winnick takes his series next. And I hope he stays on with this series for a long time. So that's it for the reviews for this video. In my next video, in my final video for this week, I'm going to be doing a review of Animal Man, issue number 12. Swamp Thing, issue number 12. Stormwatch. Green Arrow. Dial H. And finally, Red Lantern. So if you're interested in any of those, you're not a subscriber yet, subscribe up top, like on the bottom. My name's David, and I'll see you guys on another fix. And oh yeah, you guys can follow me on Twitter at FalconXXL in the descriptions below. Alright, see you later.